For Reaper Metal Productions, I am Adam of Unbaptized Records, here to make a brand new video for you today. Today's video is going to be another what I am listening to in my car. I have a decent stack here, and I tried to get some variety. And I even have a local band here, which is going to be the first one that I show off. So this is the band called Fatal Sacrament with their album Tender as the Flesh. This is fairly new. I think they only have this and maybe like an EP, but this is either their first full length or maybe their first release was actually a full length as well. I'm not positive, but one of the early releases. Pretty brand new band from Connecticut. I saw them on a recent show. It was a few Redefining Darkness bands, I believe. It was Gorgatron and Vicious Blade playing, and these guys were openers, so I'm pretty sure that was the show, because I saw two shows almost back to back, and I know these guys opened for one of them, and I was pretty sure it was that show. But some awesome Connecticut death metal. See, you got the little CTDM logo on the back. Had the guys sign it. Definitely going to see them again soon. They were doing a show. It was like a playing of this album, so album just came out, so they wanted to play the full thing, and I missed that show. I was going to go see it, but I ended up grabbing it before that, so that was cool. And they're definitely going to be around more because they're a fairly new band, so follow them on Instagram or whatever. Check out their Bandcamp, but it's called Fatal Sacrament. So if you like brutal death metal and you don't know a ton of bands from Connecticut, and hell, neither do I, check them out. I'm sure that they would appreciate it. And I know that they're also dog watchers too, so if you watch J-Dog, so do they. So hey man, we're part of the same crowd. Now, in trying to get some diversity in here, this might be one that is not on people's radar, especially if they're either into the cult black metal or just the brutal death metal. So if this isn't your thing, fine, but you know what, I tend to like a variety of music. So I believe this is pronounced Corpal Colani. This is like folk metal basically. So this spawned the genre that came with bands like Fintroll and Sephirium, I believe they're called. So these guys, I didn't realize they're actually around before Fintroll. For some reason I thought maybe Fintroll was older, but these guys are probably the originators of, or at least pretty much the earliest that I could think of like this Finnish folk metal. So if that's your thing, or if maybe you just want to listen to something other than your Vlad Tepes or just your brutal death, you're tired of Last Days of Humanity, or you're tired of the classics like your Iron Maidens, check these guys out. It's a little bit different, maybe not what you're used to, but you know what, sometimes it's okay to go outside the bounds a little bit. But back to a classic. This is an EP that I only recently picked up, this and then the first full length Ignorance, which is all I have by them. Also, actually no, I have one other thing. I also have a split, but it's the band Sacrament. So Surf Nicaragua. I thought this was alright. I definitely picked this up because Justin talks about it all the time. This is the band that got the Horville brothers into metal. This is the reason Hell's Headbangers exists. This is the reason this channel exists. So this band is pretty much the reason that I am able to be on YouTube with any sort of a crowd, because without this channel no one would really give a shit or know who I am, which totally understandable. I get that. But I thought this EP was okay. I definitely like Ignorance better. I also have the split 7-inch they did with Iron Reagan with the song Don't Do It Dottie. So if you're a fan of Trump, then you're not going to be a fan of that release. But I mean, makes sense if you know the band, so can't really be that surprising. This next one, I don't know exactly how to feel about it. I don't think I've shown this, but this is a band that a lot of people were talking about last year, and for good reason. But again, I'm just not sure how I feel about this. This is the new Fulci album from last year, I believe. So Duckface Killings. So for those who don't know, Fulci was a Italian horror movie director, producer, I don't even know, because I'm not that big into horror movies. I do like him, but I mean, he's basically one of the most famous Italian horror movie creators in existence. So for me, not knowing whether or not he produced them or wrote them, scripted them, I'm going to sound like a loser poser, but that's okay, because again, I never claimed to be the biggest into horror movies. But basically, it's an Italian band based on Fulci and based on his movies. So to my surprise, the Duckface Killings is a movie. I thought he was talking about duck lips, like that stupid trend from 10 years ago that girls used to do on Instagram. I thought that's what it was, and I'm like, oh no, it's something from a movie. I'm like, that makes way more sense. And actually, I don't know if you feel the same way, but at least with the Hands of the Skull, I thought that this cover was an homage to the early Sodom album, Obsessed by Cruelty. I thought maybe that's what it was. It's kind of what it reminds me of. But I mean, this is a pretty good death metal album, except there's a straight up rap song on here with a guest rapper, which is just kind of weird. Because again, normally I don't really care, but it's just kind of weird that so many people like this, but yet no one talked about it. So for whatever reason, you know, in the underground, people absolutely hate rap, which I don't really care. I don't mind rap, but yet for some reason there's a straight up rap song with a guest artist who's a rapper on here, and no one talked about it. So I mean, I would rather not care, because personally I don't give a shit. But yeah, so Duckface Killings concept was based on the motion picture The New York Ripper, 1982, directed by Fulci. Okay, so again, I didn't know, but I mean, most people probably know who he is, so the fact that I don't, whatever, it is what it is. Next is an album I talked about. I ordered this from Hell's recently, and it just came in. I listened to it twice already. It is the Abigail Necrosplit. This is something that Justin Horville showed off on his channel. He showed the LP. I picked up just the CD, which is fine, because I don't think I necessarily want the LP. I thought this was good. Abigail is definitely not my style of music. I will be the first to admit when I love something and when I hate something, and I'm not just going to give everything 10 out of 10 reviews. I just don't like the vocals. I think it's honestly like a Japanese metal thing. There's a few bands like that, like even Sabat from Japan I'm not really that big of a fan of, honestly. Metal Lucifer is pretty good. I just think I have, oh man, only a few other Japanese bands. I think Unholy Grave is that one. I think I got like a 7-inch or something, maybe another 7-inch, but it's okay. It's just not really my thing. And there's something about the vocal style of a lot of Japanese bands I just don't like. So the way I could describe it, Abigail's vocals on this reminded me of a big cat, like a puma or a mountain lion, which I think those actually might be the same thing, screaming from across a room with echo, and the room also has a pool in it. I don't know why, that sounds so specific, but it's like a big cat growling or meowing, whatever they do, from across the room with an echo, and it sounds like it's bouncing off water. It's the weirdest description, but that's what came to mind. Let me know in the comments if you listen to this, or if you're a fan of Abigail, if that even makes any sense. It was just weird, but it's unique. I will at least give it that, and I'm definitely going to play this album again. And the Necrophil side was awesome. I never really knew much about them, but they're also related to this channel. I think Reaper was in the band at one point. So definitely, if you're a fan of this channel, you're probably familiar with Necrophil. I enjoyed that side a lot. The cool thing about them is they're kind of like, in a sense, the band Lurking Corpses, where the music's all over the place. You're not just getting one style. You're getting some punk, some thrash, some death metal, some speed, kind of like a little bit of everything, a little bit of the Blackened vibe to it too. So it doesn't feel like a band you could ever get bored of. Even in the 5 songs that are on here, the first 3 are more maybe death metal-y, and the last 2 are almost more punk and thrashy. So definitely something I'm going to spin. And as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Abigail, the 4 songs on here are very unique, and it's definitely something I'm going to go back to, because I've never really heard much like this. But I can kind of tell I'm not going to like the style, and I'm probably not going to pick more up by this band. So again, the last 2, really trying to go a bit more random with the styles here. This is a, I guess, if you would call it, blackened technical death metal band with some clean vocals, which I know is also something that's like a absolute taboo, but you know, I would say give it a chance. You might end up enjoying it. It's the band Sludge, or Sluggage, not sure how to pronounce it, but this is their last album they did. They have 4. This is the most recent one, Esoteric Malacology. So their songs are all basically puns on other songs, and they're all related to slugs. So they have a song called Crop Killer, like Cop Killer. Nothing on here, but Slave Goo World, like Brave New World. Transylvanian Fungus. Okay, so it's like playing on Dark Throne. So I think this is a really interesting band. I enjoy everything they put out. They have 4 albums, and that's it. This is their newest one. I think this came out 2019, and there's nothing new since, so hopefully they're putting out something else. I mean, it's now coming up on 6 years, but I would definitely give this band a chance. At least listen to them on Spotify or YouTube or something. I think it's going to be a lot better than you think once you mention clean vocals. And then they have longer songs, so all 4 of their albums are double LPs, and this only has 8 songs, so you know, 2 songs on each side of an LP. They're like 6, 7, 8, 9 minute songs. I still think it's worth checking out, just because you may be used to a certain style, and then you hear something like clean vocals or longer songs. It doesn't mean it's automatically going to suck. I would at least give a song or two a try. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. It's not for everybody. But every once in a while, it's cool to try something new, and that's the one thing I definitely want to bring across on this channel. And last is a band I had only heard of fairly recently. I believe this band toured with Nunslaughter, and this was something that was in Reaper's collection that I picked up kind of blindly, and it's the Black Mariah. This is a band that really surprised me. So it's got that old Western, 1800s style. You can even see with the pictures inside too. At least the songs, that's how it's written. But it's sort of like a Black Death thrash hybrid. It's really really got me by surprise. I wasn't sure what I was gonna get with this. Again, I picked this up blind, and I think it was like $5 or something. So this album's called the Casket Prospects. So the Black Mariah Casket Prospects. This is another one. Check it out. I mean, it totally got me by surprise. Didn't know what I would think of it. Pretty much just bought it because it was cheap, and I thought, hey, maybe I'll give it a try. And then I saw they toured Nunslaughter and everything. So clearly they're good enough to be on a tour like that. So they fit into that underground style of music. Nothing I'd heard of before. So I definitely recommend checking out. And if you know any of those bands I mentioned, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.